at 11:09 a.m., a person who has been identified as a 17-year-old armed with a pistol fired multiple shots in the cafeteria of the school.
Later identifying the shooter as Solomon Henderson, a student at Antioch High School.
Well, Rory, we have a copy of what purports to be a manifesto. What is in here is extremely disturbing. The West has fallen, billions must die. There are many other racial and ethnic slurs in here. The N-word is used extensively throughout. He writes, "Why did you attack a school?" He doesn't specifically answer that one, but then goes on to describe the various people who should be targeted.
Hey everyone, today's video, I don't want you to start right off the bat with an exciting intro like I normally do, because I will be talking about some very grim topics, especially in this first beginning, and I already put up a disclaimer, so if you're still watching up to now, I'll just get into it. Okay, so recently, there was a school shooting in the state of Tennessee in the Antioch High School, where one student was injured and two, unfortunately, died, including the shooter himself, who was 17, and he was identified as Solomon Henderson. And around that time, when he was in the premises in the school, it turned out he was actually live streaming it on Kick, where it was over a short time, but now, of course, it's taken down. I don't want to shit on Kick too much, because it's always getting a lot, but yeah, this incident, it does not help them at all. And I want you to quickly show the account that he had, called Honorary Yakubian, which has a theme of this 4chan, deep internet, Wojak culture. And that's important because the kid had also written a manifesto back in November and released it on his Instagram or somewhere on his socials, which is not only full of that stuff that I mentioned, but it also has much, much more than that. And today, I want to read some parts of it, because I think it's a bizarre perspective into a teenager's head, especially one that was not in the right place at all. And of course I can't show all of it because it is insanely long, so I'll put up a tweet of the actual guy that archived it, and also, God bless him, he took the time to censor all the slurs, which is incredible because it's full of everything, of all this stuff. I mean, the kid was black, but he wrote the hard R, everywhere, it's full of it, Also mentioning, killing Jews, committing genocide, ethnically cleansing people, all that stuff. I mean, it's still unavoidable, but it is censored, so God bless that guy. And also, I want to make it abundantly clear right now, me talking about this, reading some parts, it's not like an endorsement of mine onto this kid of this manifesto. I'm only reading it because there is some information and value to be had here to look into his perspective and understand where he was coming from. And also as well, this maybe ponder on the conversation of how old should a kid be before going to the internet, because not only was he 17, but also there was mention of how he used the internet, 4chan. He actually used 4chan, or he's aware of it when he was 9 years old. So all that stuff, reading this, does make you question that stuff, so it shouldn't be disregarded so quickly. And also as well, disclaimer now, because this stuff, it gets very fucking filthy quickly. And also a disclaimer here in the beginning, in no way does publishing the student manifesto agree with its aim or shares the sentiment generating them. On the contrary, I am deeply appalled by both the content of the manifesto and the tragic crime that resulted in the death of a woman. This post is shared solely for journalistic purposes. Examining the internet culture that the shooter himself acknowledged as a contributing factor to crime is crucial for building a profile. This will go down in history as the first terminally online shooter deeply immersed in the ironic and soy culture. Yeah, and right off the bat, this intro is not, inviting at all. It begins with, it begins with a Wojak and that symbol. I don't know what it's called, but I know the meaning behind it. And it's repeating over and over, the stuff from 4chan. The West has fallen, billions must die, accelerate. And this part right here is the actual name of the manifesto, just the worst possible. And of course, I mean, like I said, this kid, I have no idea where it's coming from, but it does become very clear, like I said before, that he was, heavily invested in the soy Wojak culture, highlighting this part. I'm not gonna say, I don't want a soundbite of me saying this thing right now in the video, but yeah, like I said, the intro, this beginning, opening paragraph, if you don't feel comfortable by it, then yeah, this thing is not meant for you at all. And it does go on for quite a while. The only interesting part, the next chapter, was this one, the flushing. I have no idea, you know, the context, you know, behind that phrase. If it's bad, I condemn it, of course. But it talks about how during historical wars, races and societies are cleansed, cities are destroyed, entire languages and cultures are lost forever. And you know, it sounds like he was well versed in history, but you know, like much like a racist history teacher, you know, he sounds interesting. But the more time you give him, the more abhorrent stuff he spews out. Which, I mean, with this one, it was very clear in the beginning. But yeah, you know, it feels more awful. Like, you know, this was coming from a kid who was like, you know, he was 17 years old, who was also black himself. Like, reading this whole manifesto, it felt like that one black kid in the movie, in the EDL movie from here in the UK, where he had himself and he only found comfort in a group of skinheads that also made fun of him. You know, did more than just make fun of him. Like, it feels like that kind of sick, you know, like he hates himself, but that self-hatred was warped into, you know, just the most disgusting, you know, form of racism, where he acknowledges it and he, you know, he finds it funny, even though like all this kid needed was, you know, a bit of therapy. You know, like this whole story would have come out way better, you know, and not just this manifesto and him dying and a school shooting as well. The next part that I actually feel comfortable reading is a section called Crime Maxing. The day is coming where your face is going to be on the news in the form of a mugshot or an obituary. If you're still fat or greasy, then that's going to be a huge problem. I often thought, I don't get like how these kind of people, you know, the two biggest issues in their head is not looking good enough and also not shooting up a school yet. Like, such a bizarre, you know, issue in your life. If that's not your only issues, I'm sorry, you know, but you must have an easy life. Like, how do you not? I often look at myself in the mirror thinking, if the pigs came knocking right now, how would my photo look on CNN? How would it look on my very own Wikipedia article, on my ID card? There's no need for our guys to look like they held up a liquor store and got shot on the way out. And also as well, our guys, and then a mood board of all. I know some of these people, and yeah, I do not, you know, I'm not willing to support them a tiny bit at all. And then it goes about stuff like going on a diet, you know, building muscle, putting on moisturizer on your face, like the most bizarre stuff. When also, you know, like this picture as well is put, like, you know, right below it. It's very bizarre, you know, like I said, a deep dive into this kid's head that, you know, which is fucking mentally ruined. And also, the more you read into it, it's become very clear this kid, you know, wanted to get a kick out of this, because the next section, you know, that I found very bizarre was a chapter called "Do You Like Skibbly Toilet?" Yes, it is an Aryan only 810 180 IQ chuddies understand it with a level 10 GAT. Like, very brain of humor, you know, like this was very clearly a guy that, you know, did not care to make this serious and want you to make it funny, haha, all that stuff. And meanwhile, right below it is the most abhorrent rape supporting pedophilic stuff ever that a person could fucking conjure up and type and publish, you know, with no shame at all. I mean, normally it's hard to, like, you know, understand and sympathize with a school shooter, or, you know, honestly, like, just simply depressed or, you know, going for a tough time. But with this, if someone, like, you know, did that and also made this stuff, it's even harder to get a read on him. And it does, like, flip-flop from, like, the most bizarre stuff ever, like, you know, the only people on 4chan or wherever will find it funny. But then, you know, give him like a biopic about his life. Are you a victim of bullying? Personally, in my life, I can't remember a single instance of being bullied, at least not unconventionally sense. I was bullied in the culture sense, which everyone is bullied in. No, but the media, attention seekers, will say I was, and other bullshit like he was just a quiet kid. Which, by the way, do I buy this? No. Because again, like, he said he was from LA and he was, you know, severely beating the shit out of while there before he came to Tennessee. So I think this part about being bullied, he's been like, no, I wasn't bullied. I was a tough kid. You know, I did all of this, you know, I'm saying this stuff because of, you know, society and culture. I wasn't bullied. I think he was, I'm sorry. And then the next part, thoughts on school life. School is a daycare. It's just impossible for you to actually think. You say things because other people have said it before, then go repeat and nauseum somewhere else. These fucking people haven't had a real thought in their lives, and then I'm not gonna read that at all, even if it's come from someone else. For example, look at biopic school. You see fighting everywhere, videos of kids beating on each other, while teachers and staff do nothing. Everyone is either a wannabe thug, larper, or retarded whore. In school, we're taught to wake up early, shut up, sit for long periods of hours, and do tasks you hate, then repeat. It just gets better with time. You'll grow up, you'll get better, things will change. This nonsense is only perpetrating suicide, especially within teenagers, telling them to endure whether it be bullying, abuse, and alienation. With the lies after a fact, they will be rewarded with a shitty career, dying in a retirement home. I mean, to be fair, what the fuck am I saying that? But yeah, like, I think a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers going in high school, they have these thoughts, but at the same time, with someone like this, it would be a lot to say 4chan, all this stuff did not, heavily contribute to this at all. I mean, I can't really show, like I said before, the guy that made this, the archive did, God bless him, he censored the Wojaks, but there were a good handful of them, at least 20 of the most bizarre things ever that just look fucking disgusting. So I think most kids would relate to him, about hating high school, but I think, to say this guy was normal in the head, had a normal upbringing would just be a lie. Because he clearly didn't. I don't think, an average kid, that hates high school would go to the extent of writing this and also, doing a crime to that degree. I don't think so. Didn't you want to go to the army? I never want to go to the army. You should be fight for your country, not somebody else. No one person would fight for more mass immigration, higher taxes, and living expenses. It's not worth the benefits. Unlike some countries in the East, the West does not have blood and soil say anymore. Why die for people who don't give a shit about you? Sure, does offer a good experience when actually killing someone, but you're way better off going to a gun club. If you're young, then join Airsoft. It teaches you how to use more familiar weapons, equipment, and basic training. Again, I'm not gonna say, going to the army would be good for most people. But I think with a kid like this, that's just, mentally ruined, having an awful upbringing, I think, having just fucking growing up, living a normal experience in life, making friends, doing shit outside of, the bumfuck town, would actually not fix them, but it will make them better, put them on the right track of being a normal person. I mean, do I think someone like this, ever have a chance of, being a normal Joe? I'm not sure, but I think any other reality than this one that we're living in, and he did this, which has been so much better. Okay, the next part, I think he wrote this, with the intent to ruin the image of some people. I think because it also said, what groups do you follow, inspired you, and it's so bizarre. Let me find it. Do you have any groups that are backing you? Yes, the r/Markiplier on Reddit. Right, do I think this kid's a fan of Markiplier? Yeah, potentially. Do I think, he's fucking with people like me, reading this stuff, saying, oh, Markiplier mod told me to shoot a school, then yeah, I think he's fucking with us. There's no way, because the next part as well is also equally as, batshit crazy. I mean, it's very hard to tackle this, because like I said, it's full of, abhorrent, racist, anti-Semitic stuff, but the part when it gets serious, it's very depressing. But then it just pivots the most insane shit ever, like saying, yes, the r/Markiplier Reddit, was supporting me in taking a fucking gun to school and live streaming it on Kick. What? I mean, this part's just the same. Is there a particular group or people that radicalized you the most? Candace Owens, Ethan Ralph, Nick Fuentes, Turkey Tom, Ruben Sim, Mr. Beast, Cops on Talks, Wayne Lambright, iDubbbz, Destiny, and Hassan Piker. Right. Also, by the way, this part's very bizarre. He says Hassan Piker, but multiple times, a good 50-50, he says death to Palestine and Israel. I have no idea where it gets off. To expand on this, Candace Owens has influenced me above all. Each time she spoke, I was stunned by her insight, and her own views helped push me further and further into the belief of violence over the Jewish question, along with Turkey Tom and Ruben Sim pushing me to the alt-right pipeline. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, for a lot of these people, I think some people that are very clearly political, like Candace Owens, maybe, I don't know, they do deserve some flag for hateful speech they're spreading, but I think, this kid was fucking with people saying how Turkey Tom and Mr. Beast, led them to the alt-right pipeline. He clearly, he doesn't give a shit about the reputation of these people, so, he threw their name into the involvement or the inspiration of a school shooting. Do I think he was a fan of people like iDubbbz? Yeah, potentially. But yeah, there's no way I believe that, in a single video, he told people, about this stuff and very horrible things, ethnically cleansing people. I don't believe at all, sorry. Were you taught violence and extremism by video games, music, literature, or cinema? Yes, following the music called Incelcore, Shootercore, Taught Me Kill, Kanye West, and playing games like CSGO, Manhunt, Cry of Fear, Postal, Doom. Okay, he's clearly fucking with people. Skylanders, Mega Chud, TNO, Hearts of Iron 4, and Morimiya Middle School Shooter have mentally prepared me for murder. And then he puts a Steam account. I mean, worthless, because, you know, he's not using it anymore. But yeah, I think, you know, stuff like this, you know, are gonna make people be like, oh my god, you know, this is like clear-cut evidence that games, you know, violent games teach people to kill. I don't think a single person has played Skylanders and, you know, is willing to like do the same stuff as this kid. I just don't believe that. I mean, the part that made me sad is the fact that he plays Postal. That's so. He probably played like the first one, that's, you know, way more gory. But if he played Postal 2 and he was a fan of it, that makes me sad, 'cause, you know, I love that game. But regardless, you know, I don't think any of these games, you know, inspired him to be, you know, this fucking violent and a deplorable human being. Okay, so I made it very clear that I think this person was, you know, one of those people that was just born and predisposed to being an awful human being. I think, you know, having a good upbringing would help that, but yeah, at some point, it becomes like a line where, you know, like my sympathy just ends, because, you know, saying like, you know, once you like, you know, genocide black people, Jews, Palestinians, all that stuff, I can't really care for a person like that. I mean, also, he was 17, like, you know, at some point, you know, if a young kid said that, I'd be like, come on, shut the fuck up. But some teenager at 17 saying this, it just makes me believe that they were born mentally fucked from day one. Like, I'm somewhat pessimistic about this, but, you know, I think, you know, nature, you know, contributed to this much more than nurture. I mean, 100%, a good upbringing could have, like, prevented this, but, you know, in terms of, like, how bad I feel for this kid, you know, it comes to a certain point where, like, you know, I can't do, like, 100%, because, my god, was he just fucked. But yeah, in terms of parts that really made me be like, my god, this guy was just a kid, a young, dumb, awful kid, was this part. Do you use 4cook? Let me just create 4chan, whatever. And he said, yes, but not as much as I used to. I heard about it when I was 9. I barely scroll on, but I'm not a 4chan immigrant. I've been using it before, most of you new fags, not Jotty, whatever. I'm sorry, when I read that, it brought me to ruins. This kid was 9 or, you know, around that age when he started using or learning about 4chan. That is fucking awful. If it's one thing, I mean, 4chan for an average person, not good for me, you know, it's funny, but it shouldn't be used that often like some other people. But if this guy, you know, was growing up with that environment, that kind of like, you know, internet culture, then that is fucking awful to hear. I'll get into the topic of, you know, of internet usage as a kid later on, but yeah, I'll finish it, you know, like the main chapters left in here. With this part here, final remarks, and he gives a date as well, November 18, 2024. But like I said, you know, I think he published this on his Instagram, I believe, a few days prior on this website. I was so miserable. I want to kill myself. I just couldn't take anymore. I'm a worthless subhuman. I live and breathe in disgrace. That all changed when I read Kiro, whatever, Manifesto, an English edition of Mass Cleaner Handbook. All saints would probably hate me. Maybe not Dylan. He had some friends. I know what I'm doing is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. I'll be milked for laughs like a lol cow. Everyone's passing me by. It just seems pointless to try at times. All my in real life friends outgrew me, like they didn't fucking know me. Being me was so fucking humiliating. That's why I spend all day dissociating. My god. I know doing this act will make it better than the rest of the other. Nothing I do will make up for what my people have done. My family I don't really have a good relationship with. Feels like you're controlling. I just break free and treat like an actual slave at times. Ironic, I know. You weren't the best parents. You constantly put the blame on me or took anger out on me for little reason, depending on your mood. The person I really liked was my little brother. Rather, I live for myself and I don't want you to swim through sludge called life. I'm not base, kid, or whatever. I take great pride in the fact that the people before and after me will commit similar acts, not only in the US, but all over the world. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Okay, like, you know, that last part, like, you know, what I was referring to, like this kid having a shitty upbringing. But yeah, you know, also at the same time, he probably like the most darkest brain possible from any regular person out here in society. So yeah, what I was saying before, I think at a certain point, like, you know, like kids should use the internet, but with very, very heavy supervision, because otherwise, you know, if they stumble on like stuff like 4chan or Kiwi Farms, and you know, they say invested and are interested, then yeah, that will ruin them and potentially put them like on a similar track with this guy. Like maybe not do a school shooting, which, you know, make them like the most pessimistic, racist, hateful person ever. Again, before in this video, I want you to make it very clear that I don't want you to make light of this situation, despite whatever I said about this kid just being ruined and compromised of ever being in a good state in the future. But I still think it's horrible that shooting transpired in the first place, and that these dangerous thoughts were left unchecked for such a long time. Like honestly, this whole manifesto was like an insanely long scroll of just gibberish. Like in this video, I probably only cover like, you know, 10% of it. I think people should take a look at this and try to keep an eye for it, you know, in the future. Like if some edgy friend is also going off about it. I mean, a large majority of people like this only talk about it for like the ironic, edgy humor. But there are times when, you know, we have to question just how deep they are into it. And also, I can't say anything about the parents, because, you know, they might just well be devastated by this. But if more info comes out about them and the negligent parenting, then yeah, that should not go left unpunished. And they should be an example of why you need to supervise your kids and what they do on the internet. Because otherwise, even being a quarter like this would just be awful, honestly.